I am 84 years old, and there's a wooden case on the top shelf of my bedroom closet that my kids think is for home protection. It's not. Inside that case is a Colt M1911A1 pistol, 45 caliber, weighs 2 pounds and 7 ounces, barrel length 5 inches. It's not the one the Army gave me. That one disappeared into a Japanese warehouse after they captured me in Burma. I bought this one in 1948 from a gun shop in Fort Worth. Same model, same weight, same trigger pull. I bought it because I wanted my hand to remember what it felt like. On March 31st, 1944, at 15,000 feet above the Burmese jungle, I shot down a Japanese Zero fighter with a pistol exactly like this one, while hanging from a parachute, while bleeding from shrapnel wounds, while watching my crew get murdered in the sky around me. The Army didn't believe me, filed my report as unconfirmed. Took 38 years for Japan's own records to prove I was telling the truth. So let me tell you exactly what happened. Because I'm 84, and the grave marker they'll put up in Pioneer Cemetery won't mention any of this. I grew up in Graham, Texas. My father ran a dry goods store on Oak Street. Before the war, I pumped gas at a Magnolia station, 70 cents an hour. I saved every nickel and took flying lessons at the Graham Municipal Airport. I loved being in the air, loved the math of it, airspeed, altitude, angle of approach, numbers that kept you alive. 3 weeks after Pearl Harbor, I enlisted. They sent me to Ellington Field near Houston. I wanted to fly P-40 Warhawks. I wanted to hunt Japanese fighters, dogfight, be the guy with his name painted on the fuselage. But my eyes tested one line below requirement for fighter pilot training. One line. So they put me in bombers instead. I thought I'd never face a fighter pilot. That was the first thing I was wrong about. They assigned me to the 10th Air Force. We flew B-24 Liberators out of airstrips carved from Indian tea plantations. Supply lines stretched 7,000 miles from the States. Parts came by ship to Calcutta, then by rail to Assam, then by truck over the Himalayas, if the truck survived the drive. We were the forgotten theater. Europe got the headlines. We got malaria and monsoons. The Japanese controlled Burma's airspace with about 140 aircraft and veteran pilots who'd been fighting since China. They shot down everything that flew. Our losses were 43 aircraft a week across the theater. Those aren't numbers to you. Those were friends of mine who didn't come back for dinner. March 31st, 1944. Our mission, the railway bridge at Mandalay, part of the Japanese supply line feeding troops toward India. 10 men in the bomber, 5 officers, 5 enlisted. Crew I'd flown 7 missions with, men I knew. We never reached the target. Zeros intercepted us 40 miles out. They attacked from the sun, the oldest trick in air combat, and it works every time because you can't fight what you can't see. Cannon shells ripped through the aluminum like it was paper. Number 3 engine caught fire, then number 2. The pilot gave the bailout order at 10,000 feet. I jumped from the waist gunner position, pulled my ripcord. The chute opened, and I floated into the worst morning of my life. 15,000 feet. The air was 12 degrees. My leather flight jacket was useless against that cold. My breath made ice crystals, and below me, nothing. 200 miles of mountain ridges controlled by the Japanese 18th Infantry Division. 12,000 troops. No rescue teams. No friendly forces. Nothing but jungle and the men who wanted to kill us. 12 Americans hung in the sky under white silk canopies, scattered across 3 miles. 3 Zeros circled us like hawks. They hunted us one by one. The lead Zero made its first pass at Staff Sergeant Harold Thompson, our tail gunner. Thompson dangled 400 yards to my left. The Zero closed to 100 feet, opened up with the 7.7 millimeter guns. Traces stitched through his canopy. The silk shredded. Thompson fell, spinning, 11,000 feet to the ground. I watched the whole thing. Then Lieutenant James Miller, our co-pilot. The Zero came head-on, firing from 300 yards. 2 rounds punched through his chest. His body went limp in the harness, still descending, already dead. I counted 3 Zeros, 9 parachutes, now 8. Simple mathematics. They were going to kill every one of us. I checked my wounds. Shrapnel had torn through my left thigh during the bomber's death spiral. Blood soaked through my flight suit, warm and sticky. My right hand held the parachute risers. My left hand moved to my hip holster, found the pistol grip. 8 rounds total, 7 in the magazine, 1 chambered. Effective range against a man, 50 yards. Effective range against a fighter aircraft, 0. The Army issued me this pistol for the ground, for signaling, for wild animals, for survival. Nobody mentioned aerial combat. Then I made a decision that I still can't fully explain. I went limp, dropped my head forward onto my chest, let my arms dangle, let my legs hang dead. I became a corpse, pre-killed, not worth the ammunition. The blood helped. It dripped from my flight suit against the white silk. I looked like Thompson. I looked like Miller. I looked like a man already finished. The Zero closed to 75 yards. The pilot checked his gun sight. His finger was on the trigger. And then he hesitated. The American looked dead already. No movement in the parachute. No steering inputs. No oscillation. Maybe another Zero hit this one. Maybe the explosion killed him. He decided to verify before wasting rounds. He throttled back, slowed to 95 miles an hour, just above stall speed. He slid his canopy open for a better look, banked gently left, pulled alongside me, 30 feet away. He wanted to see my face, confirm the kill, move on. I could see his leather flight cap, his goggles pushed up on his forehead, the expression on his face. Not hate, not anger, mild curiosity. A professional checking his work. 30 feet. I lifted my head, slowly, just my neck. My right hand crossed my body to the holster on my left hip. I drew the M1911 in one motion, thumbed the safety down during the draw. The pilot saw the movement. His eyes went wide. His hand reached for the throttle. The zero started to accelerate. Too slow, too late. I extended my arms straight out. No time to aim properly. You can't achieve a shooting stance hanging from a parachute harness. I pointed the pistol at the cockpit and compensated for wind drift by instinct. The zero filled my vision, 30 feet away, close enough to smell the exhaust, close enough to see the red circle on the fuselage. I fired. First shot went through the open canopy, missed his head by inches, exited the other side. He flinched, banked hard right. I tracked the movement, fired again. Second shot hit the canopy frame, ricocheted. Fragments hit his shoulder. He cried out. Third shot. This one entered the open cockpit, traveled 28 inches, hit him behind the right ear. He slumped forward against the stick. The zero's nose dropped. The aircraft entered an uncontrolled dive. I fired the fourth shot at the engine cowling. Hit aluminum, went clean through. Didn't matter. A zero without a pilot is a tombstone with wings. It spun left, dove steeper, accelerated toward the jungle. I tracked it with my eyes. The pistol shook in my hand. 3 rounds left. The zero hit the canopy at approximately 420 miles an hour. The fireball was visible for 3 miles. The other 2 zeros didn't see it happen. They were 800 yards away, running gun passes on the rest of my crew. They killed 2 more men before it was over. Lieutenant David Parker, our navigator, rounds through both lungs. Technical Sergeant William Hayes, our engineer, bled out during the descent. 5 of us reached the ground alive. I landed in triple canopy jungle, 3 miles from our bomber's wreckage. I tied a tourniquet from parachute cord. No radio, no map, no compass. 3 rounds in my pistol. 1,200 miles of enemy territory between me and anything friendly. I evaded for 5 days, moved at night, stars for navigation, drank from streams, ate nothing. Malaria hit on day 3. The wound went septic on day 4. Day 5, a Japanese patrol found me unconscious beside a water buffalo trail. Rangoon Central Prison, 800 Allied prisoners. Conditions that killed 30% within 6 months. Dysentery, beriberi, beatings, interrogations. They wanted bombing tactics, airfield locations. I gave them name, rank, serial number. They broke my ribs. They withheld food for 6 days. They put me in a box 4 feet by 4 feet by 3 feet tall for 2 weeks in tropical heat. I survived by counting seconds, by doing arithmetic in my head, by remembering Graham, Texas, and summer nights and ice cream and every good thing I could hold on to. May 6th, 1945. British forces liberated Rangoon. I walked out weighing 93 pounds, down from 165. The debriefing officers took my statement. I told them about the Zero, the pistol, the 4 shots. They wrote it all down, stamped the file unconfirmed, and put it in a cabinet. No witnesses who survived could verify the shot. No wreckage recovery was possible. Just my word. I took a train home to Graham, took a job at my father's store, married in 47, had 3 kids, coached Little League, served on the school board. People knew I flew in the war, knew I was a prisoner, didn't know the rest. I stopped telling the story because it sounded like a lie. 38 years. In 1982, a researcher found Japanese patrol reports from March 31st, 1944. A Zero from the 64th Sentai failed to return. The pilot, Lieutenant Shigeo Kuro. 11 confirmed victories. His squadron mates reported he broke formation during an attack on enemy parachutists, pursued a target at low altitude, and never rejoined. They found his crashed Zero 3 miles from our downed bomber. Bullet damage in the cockpit, small caliber gunshot wound to the head, no ground forces in the area, no Chinese guerrillas. The only small caliber weapons belonged to us. A letter arrived in February 1983 from the Secretary of the Air Force, formal language, confirmation of my aerial victory, the only verified instance of a man shooting down a fighter aircraft with a pistol while parachuting in the entire history of military aviation. No ceremony, no medal upgrade, just a letter. A reporter from the Graham paper asked me if I was proud. I said I was proud I survived and came home. He asked how I felt in the moment. I said I felt terrified and certain I was going to die. The truth is, the shot was luck. 4 rounds at 30 feet from a pistol designed for 50 yards. The odds were in my favor once he opened that canopy. But the decision to play dead, to go limp, to wait for him to get close enough, that was thinking. That was the gas station kid from Graham doing math at 15,000 feet. I'm telling you this now because I'm 84. The marker they'll put at Pioneer Cemetery will have my name and my dates and my service branch. It won't mention the Zero, won't reference the impossible shot. And that's fine, because the Japanese records mention it, and the American records mention it. And now you know. 38 years I carried a story nobody believed, and the only thing that proved it was a dead pilot's filing system on the other side of the Pacific. His people wrote it down. My people wrote it down. 40 years later, the papers found each other. So here's what I'll tell you. If something extraordinary happens to you, something nobody believes, don't stop knowing it's true. The records catch up eventually. The truth has a longer shelf life than doubt. I was a gas station kid from Texas who couldn't pass the eye test for fighters, and my hand changed what was possible at 15,000 feet.